Tuesday morning, my friends. I am Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on Terrific Tuesday. Now, I hope it's terrific for you. I'm probably headed to a funeral today. It's why I'm pre-recording this. But I want you to think about this today. God has blessed you with an opportunity to serve Him in some way. What are you going to do to make this day terrific? Even if you have to go to a funeral, it can be terrific. But right now, I want you to join me in Galatians chapter 4, picking up in verse 1. Remember last week we talked about the tutor and the guardian, the law guiding us to our understanding of who Jesus is and bringing us into that relationship with God. But then we also talked about how we are heirs according to the promise, heirs to the kingdom of heaven because we've been made sons and daughters of God through faith in Jesus Christ. Now look at what Paul says here in verse 1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, does not differ at all from a slave, though he is master of all. Now, what he's talking about here is like dad still tells him what to do. Dad still directs him as a child. Even though he potentially will become the boss, he potentially will become the patriarch. As a child, he is like a slave, always being commanded, always being directed. And even in this culture, his direction would usually come from a slave who was his tutor, his guide, his teacher. And Paul continues this in verse 2, but is under guardians and stewards until the time appointed by the Father. In this earthly picture, the child continues to learn, he continues to grow until that moment that the Father says, okay, son, the business is yours. You are now in charge. You are no longer a child. You are an adult. You are the man. You're going to be the one giving the direction at this point. All right, that's the picture he's painting us. Now look at verse 3. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. Before we came to know Christ, we were in bondage to sin. Now think about this today. Here's what Paul is talking about. Outside of a relationship with Jesus Christ, we are enslaved to our sin nature. We are enslaved to the wickedness of the world. We are consumed by ourselves. That's the picture here. When we were children, before we grew into our relationship and became related to God, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons. Jesus, in the fullness of time, when everything was ready, at just the right moment, God sent Him to be born of a virgin, born of a woman, meaning He was 100% man, 100% human, all right? He was born under the law because He was born into the Jewish culture under the law, and He did that so that He could redeem us who were under the law. How did He do that? He fulfilled the law perfectly, completely. The laws of God were fulfilled in Him. The only man that has ever been able to do that, Jesus Christ Himself, did that so that He could redeem us who were under the law. Now, here's the picture. Imagine someone who was free, completely free, right? He was strong, he was wealthy, he was powerful, but he chose to go undercover into a situation where slaves were being mistreated and hurt and tortured and harmed and all of these things. And he went in as a slave so that he could lead them out of their bondage, so that he could pay the price to redeem them. That's what Jesus did. He is the miraculous hero that has broken the bonds of slavery to sin forever. Why? That we might receive the adoption as sons. That's the point. That's the goal. That's the prize. Jesus did that for us so that we could be brought into the family of God. Sons and daughters of God, not slaves, sons and daughters of God. Think about that today. Be blessed. I'll see you back here tomorrow.